Douglas Partners turns 50 this year, and since 1963 we've been at the forefront of providing clients around Australia with integrated practical solutions in the fields of geotechnical, environmental and groundwater engineering. Our story begins when the late Don Douglas established the forerunner of Douglas Partners in Sydney and the following year in Brisbane. Initially, Don was the only professional engineer, and it was clear from his report writing that he set a very high standard for himself and his staff. The company, then a trading division of Frankie Pyle, was known as Ground Test Australia. It would later evolve into DJ Douglas and Partners in 1983 and eventually into Douglas Partners in 1994. Don and his team worked hard at establishing a company which rested on 5 main pillars, namely, get it right every time, hire good, energetic people with a similar philosophy, give people an opportunity to excel but with guidance, maintain your integrity at all times, share the responsibility and rewards. The 60s and 70s. Don's values ensured the company would have steady growth as it gained recognition through everyone learning of Don's technical ability and his integrity and honesty. The company continued to gain national recognition because by the late 1960s it was doing work in New South Wales, Victoria, Queensland and the ACT, as well as in Fiji and Western Australia. By the end of the 1960s, it had completed about 2,500 individual projects in just 7 years, mostly with just 2 engineers and support staff. The 70s proved an exciting time for the company due to the technological changes occurring and the opening of an office in Townsville in 1973. In 1978, the company purchased its first computer. It was a very modest start, but we were on our way into the age of technology. The 80s. By the early 80s, the company's net turnover had grown from less than $3 million per annum to more than $8 million. It purchased Soil Mechanics Limited in 1983 and established a full-time office in Newcastle. Within less than 2 decades, Douglas Partners staff had grown from a few staff to 32 professional engineers and scientists. By 1986, the company had undertaken its 10,000th site investigation, and before the turn of the decade had opened offices at the Central Coast, Melbourne and Singleton. The 90s. The 90s was our decade of rapid expansion across Australia, with offices established in Perth, Cairns, Wollongong and Darwin. Staff numbers had more than quadrupled by 1993 to reach 160. In 1994, Don Douglas passed away, leaving a legacy that lives to this day. His influence on the industry was tremendous, and this is highlighted by the prestigious Australian Geomechanics Society's Don Douglas Award. The 90s would see the company become ISO 9001 compliant, win many national awards from the Association of Consulting Engineers, and would see net turnover increase to $20 million. 21st century. Douglas Partners entered the 21st century on a strong footing due to our founders' business philosophy, our staff's experience and exceptional service, and our ability to provide pragmatic solutions for everyday construction problems for our clients. Don Douglas's motto carried us for the last 50 years, and we are determined to carry it through for the next 50 years. The first decade of this century has seen Douglas Partners increase staff numbers to 370 and open offices in Gladstone, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast and Canberra. Our net revenue has increased to in excess of $65 million, and we have completed over 70,000 projects. And our hard work and commitment to our clients has been recognised most recently at the 2013 BRW Client Choice Awards, where we received 3 awards and were recognised as the #1 professional services firm in Australia, and also the #1 engineering firm in Australia, and finally the best provider to the property sector in Australia. Future. Douglas Partners plans to continue its steady growth by providing leading-edge solutions to our clients and in doing so providing opportunities for our staff. We are cautious but take opportunities as they arise. Our most valuable resource is our staff, followed by our enormous database of geotechnical, environmental and groundwater records from nearly 70,000 projects Australia-wide. We look forward to the next 50 years of providing clients with the very best when it comes to geotechnical, environmental and groundwater engineering.